All right, folks, get ready, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of Hunter x Hunter with one of the most fascinating and, let's face it, kind of messed up characters out there, Hisoka.
He really is something else, isn't he?
Talk about an understatement. Even if you've never seen a single episode of Hunter x Hunter, you've probably seen a picture of Hisoka with that creepy grin. He's become quite the icon.
And for good reason. He's not your typical anime villain, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely not. So to really understand this guy, we need to go back to the beginning. His introduction in the Hunter exam. I mean, talk about a first impression. Severed arms? Anyone?
Yeah, not exactly subtle, is he? But that's Hisoka for you. He makes a statement, a very bloody one, right out of the gate.
And instantly we know this guy is not here to play. It's like he's sending a message to everyone else. This is my playground.
And that's exactly what the Hunter exam becomes. A testing ground for his own twisted amusement.
Oh, totally. Remember poor Tonpa, the self-proclaimed rookie crusher.
How could we forget he barely escapes one examiner with his life, and then warns everyone about Hisoka?
Talk about a red flag. Tonpa even says Hisoka almost got disqualified for, well, going a little too hard on an examiner the year before.
Which tells you a lot about the kind of world we're dealing with here. It's kill or be killed, and Hisoka is clearly not afraid to push those boundaries.
Not even a little bit. But here's the thing. He's not just a mindless killing machine. He's strategic about it. Like when he inserts himself into the Hunter exam, declares himself the examiner, and basically starts picking fights with anyone he deems interesting.
Right, exactly. It's like he's saying, I'm not just going to pass this exam, I'm going to tailor it to my liking.
He's curating his own personal fight club with potentially fatal consequences for anyone who steps into the ring.
And what's fascinating is that he's not just looking for people he can easily overpower. He's looking for a challenge, someone who can push him, excite him.
Someone who can make him feel alive. I mean, it's twisted, but there's a certain logic to it.
Oh, absolutely. And this brings us to a really interesting point. Why does he spare Leorio and Kurapika?
Yeah, after threatening to kill them, no less. It seems counterintuitive, right? He wants strong opponents, but he lets these two go.
Because he sees potential in them. Remember, he says their potential whets his appetite. He's not just bloodthirsty, he's playing the long game.
So instead of killing them outright, he decides to let them marinate, so to speak.
Exactly. He's like a gourmet chef who knows that a good steak needs time to age. He sees something special in them and wants to see how strong they can become.
Talk about a twisted form of mentorship.
Twisted, definitely.
Mhm.
But it speaks to the core of what makes Hisoka so compelling. He's not just driven by bloodlust, he's driven by the pursuit of challenge and the thrill of the unknown.
It's like he's their own personal hype man, except instead of cheering them on, he's trying to kill them.
Yeah, hype man might not be the right term, but you get the idea. And the best example, his interactions with Gon.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a complicated relationship. He tries to kill Gon during the Hunter exam, but then he's constantly popping up later on, sometimes helping, sometimes hindering.
It's all part of his twisted game, remember?
Mhm.
He sees that potential in Gon, that raw talent, and he can't resist poking and prodding to see how it develops.
It's like watching a mad scientist observe his experiment, except the experiment can throw a mean punch.
Exactly. And don't forget, Hisoka isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Remember, Heaven's Arena. He's not just there to fight. He wants to see how much Gon has grown.
He's practically measuring his progress with every fight. Has he earned the right to face me yet? That's what's going through Hisoka's head.
Without a doubt. And let's not forget, Hisoka has his own goals, too. He's not just hanging around waiting for Gon to power up.
Right. His obsession with fighting the strongest leads him to some interesting places. Like, remember when he joined the Phantom Troop?
Oh yeah, that infamous band of thieves. He wasn't interested in their camaraderie. He was after one thing, Crollo, their leader.
He saw Crollo as the ultimate challenge, someone who could finally give him the fight he craved.
And when Crollo loses his Nen ability, talk about a letdown.
Hisoka was devastated. He'd built up this epic showdown in his mind, only to have it snatched away.
He's all about those high-stakes battles, the ones where he could actually lose. Without that risk, what's the point?
It's like he's constantly searching for someone who can break him out of his boredom.
Which brings us to another fascinating aspect of Hisoka, the manipulation. This guy is always 10 steps ahead, playing everyone like a fiddle.
He's a master strategist, using his charm, intellect, and let's not forget, those freaky Nen abilities to get what he wants.
Exactly. And it's not just about achieving a goal, it's about the game itself. He enjoys the challenge of manipulating people and situations to his will.
He's like that friend who loves playing pranks, except His pranks could get you killed.
It's all fun and games until someone loses a limb, right?
Pretty much. But even with all the chaos and bloodshed, there's a strange sense of admiration. I mean, you got to respect the dedication.
There's a certain honesty to his methods, twisted as they may be. He's not hypocritical. He says what he wants, and he goes after it. Consequences be damned.
And that unpredictability, it's what makes him so dangerous, but also so fascinating. You never know what he'll do next.
Exactly. He keeps us on the edge of our seats. Is he an antagonist? An anti-hero? A mentor?
Well, he kind of blurs all those lines, doesn't he? He's in a category all his own.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of a character like Hisoka. He defies easy categorization. He makes us question our own sense of morality, our own fascination with power.
He's like a walking, talking Rorschach test. What you see in him says more about you than it does about him.
That's a really interesting way to put it, and it makes you think, doesn't it? What is it about Hisoka that draws us in, despite his obvious flaws?
Well, for one thing, he's incredibly entertaining to watch. He's dynamic, unpredictable, and always keeps us guessing. But I think there's also something intriguing about someone who operates outside the norms, who lives by their own code.
Absolutely. He represents a kind of freedom, a rejection of societal constraints that many of us secretly crave, but he also embodies the potential dangers of unchecked ambition and power.
He's a cautionary tale wrapped in a very stylish, murderous package.
Perfectly said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Hisoka, what's the one thing you hope listeners take away?
I think it's this. Don't be afraid to explore the complexities of a character. Hisoka may be a fictional creation, but he reflects real-world questions about power, ambition, and the very nature of good and evil.
Well said. Hisoka is a reminder that the most compelling characters are often the ones who defy easy answers. They make us think, they challenge us, and they stay with us long after the credits roll.
Absolutely. He's a character who sparks endless debates and interpretations, and that's what makes him so fascinating to analyze. And on that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into the enigmatic world of Hisoka. We hope you enjoyed this exploration into the mind of one of anime's most captivating and complex characters. Until next time, keep those brain gears turning, and remember, there's a whole world of fascinating stories and characters out there just waiting to be dissected.